Welcome to Rebuilding with Shelly Armato, a show dedicated to showcasing strong and resilient leaders and individuals from all walks of life. Join us as we explore inspiring stories from all around the world. Here's your host, Shelly Armato.
Hello, everyone. This is Shelly Armato. I'm the CEO of My Smart Plans. I am radically transforming the world, my passion, with sharing stories of courage. And so today I welcome Jason Redman to my show. Google him. You can see his books here. So first of all, Jason, okay, my first intrigue is how long did it take you to write your first book?
Ooh, that's a good question. It actually took 5 years because the reality is when I started writing, I did not plan on writing a book. What happened is when I was injured and was in the hospital, I was trached, I was wired shut, so I couldn't talk. The only way I could communicate was by writing. I had to start writing, what happened in the firefight. I've always liked to write. So it became something I did in the hospital. And the next thing I knew, I had about 200 pages. And several years had gone by and I had shared it with a couple of people and they were like, wow, this is really powerful. You should do something with this. So that's kind of how it slowly turned into a book. But the time frame from the time I started to the time it was published was 5 years.
That is so crazy. I keep on buying these classes, learn to write a book. And I'm like, I sit down and then I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to organize my closet. It's brutal.
It is. You have to really like to write. I like to write. I do a lot of writing. We're actually working on book number 4. My wife and I are working on a relationship book because, we came to find out that, it's something we knew, that life in special operations and the SEAL teams is a very hard life. It's hard on marriages. We have historically a 90% divorce rate. And then it gets even higher with combat injuries and all these other things. And, my wife and I, we've been together over 20 years, 22 years now. Amazing. She's incredible. And we just have a great relationship.
Yeah.
So we're putting down that formula next. So that's going to be the next book. So it's just about consistency and it's about committing to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm working on that. So, okay. I flunk on that. That's a total F. But okay. So when I was researching you and I saw the sign that you put on your door, it reminded me of so many people forget what sign's on their door, right? Like what sign is on because everybody has a sign on their door, but what's your words say on your door really makes a difference. So tell everyone about the sign on your door. It's such a beautiful story.
Yeah, so I've been in the hospital for about 10 days and really was kind of struggling, severe injuries. I was shot 8 times between the body armor and body in a gunfight in Iraq in 2007. I took 2 rounds in the left elbow, which in the beginning they were thinking they were going to have me amputate my arm because of the level of damage. I took a round to the face. I was wired shut. I'm trached. I was a mess. And really struggling, like many of us, when we have these catastrophic events happen in our lives, where do I go from here? And doctors and nurses were really inundating me with a lot of negative information, the extreme nature of my injuries, that it was not textbook, that they would have to figure things out as we went, and just that it was going to take years to put me back together. And about that same time, I had some individuals who also were in the room and they were having a conversation off to themselves. And they were talking about what a shame it is that we send our young men and women off to war and they get wounded and broken, and not only physically, but mentally and emotionally, and that we'd never be the same. Like we would never be able to be successful. We'd always be broken. And it was just this victim mindset that I speak often about, this victim mindset. Oftentimes people want to place us into the victim box. And I kind of felt like that's what they were doing in this situation. And when everybody left, I just remember kind of sitting in that bed and just like, is that who I am? Am I that victim that they painted me to be? Or am I a victor? Am I going to drive forward? And it's going to be tough. And there's no perfect answer. I don't know what this outcome is going to look like, but I do know this, that I wasn't going to be that victim. I was going to be positive. And I was going to drive forward. And I was going to try and lift not only myself and others around me, but, the fellow wounded warriors around me up. And that's how the sign came to be. That's when my wife came back into the room. I said, you know what? I said, that's not going to happen again. I'm not going to have people coming in here feeling sorry for me. And I refuse from this point forward to feel sorry for myself. And I wrote out that sign. And it said, attention to all who enter here. If you're coming into this room with sadness or sorrow, don't bother. The wounds that I received, I got the job that I love, doing it for people that I love, defending the freedom of a country that I deeply love. I will make a full recovery. What it's full, that's the absolute utmost. Physically, I have the ability to recover. And I'm going to push that about 20% further through sheer mental tenacity. This room you're about to enter, it's a room of fun, optimism, and intense rapid rebound. If you're not prepared for that, go elsewhere. And we signed it to management. And I told my wife, put it on the door. Nobody's allowed into this room unless they read and eat that sign. And it ended up going viral. It ended up going all over the internet. They started talking about it on morning talk shows. It earned me a little bit later an invitation to the White House to meet President Bush. It's been written about in books, pretty high-level books. Secretary Robert Gates wrote about it in his book. First Lady Michelle Obama wrote about it not once but twice. It moved her so much. And that is... I speak on it often. That is, and I love, Shelley, what you talked about, that everybody has a sign on the door, whether they realize it or not.
Yeah.
And the sign on your door may say you're a victim, and you may not even realize it.
Yeah.
If that's how you live your life. I tell people, if you constantly tell yourself, I can't do something, you're right. You won't.
Yeah.
But if you constantly tell yourself, I'm going to do something, I'm going to drive forward, it's not a guarantee you're going to be successful. But it is a guarantee that you're going to move forward off the spot you're on. And that's what I tell people that sign is. That sign is a choice. Yeah. That's all it is. Yeah. In this life, we're all going to get hit by adversity.
Yeah.
And it is a choice to drive forward.
Yeah, I think for me, the sign on the door that people have inadvertently put up that they don't even realize is there, like, I'm always going to be fat, or I'm always going to be a survivor, or whatever the story is. Like, literally you can rewrite it and literally rewrite it and then put it on the door and then move forward. And then, if you have to stop and read it again. But guess what? You can change the sign on your door, right? And you never change the sign. Yeah. Well,
I've made a living out of this. Teaching people how to define who you are. As a matter of fact, that really is the essence of the victim mindset. Or, I survived a vicious enemy ambush, but everybody gets ambushed in life. So whether it's a major life ambush, which I define as anything physical, mental, emotional, or deep financial scars, they'll forever stay with you. You'll forever feel them. Yeah. Or it's a mental ambush. And Shelley, you nailed it. I'm forever going to be fat, or I'm forever, I'm never going to get this job because I am a woman, or I am a different nationality, or a different religion, or whatever it is. All these lies that people tell themselves, that is the what I call the victim mindset, and it's also you're stuck on the X. Yeah, and it's the choice to drive forward that makes the difference. That's the only difference between people who are successful and ones who aren't. Yeah,
so my husband and I had a deep financial event happen that just, it was bad. $1 million. It was like all of our savings and everything. And we started our business because of that pain. And so my mom was telling me the other day, she's like my life coach. She's like, oh, you know what? That reminds me of the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang song, Up From the Ashes of Defeat. And I'm like, that is a great song, Mom. I love that song. Also, as a little girl, I listened to all the time, just what makes that little ant. In my mind, I said, think she can move a rubber tree plant. Everyone knows an ant can't move a rubber tree plant, but there went another rubber tree. That's been the mantra of my life. And that's the mantra of what you're saying is, like, as a Navy SEAL, I'm sure they integrated that into your body anyway. And then it came out. Like, it's So I'm a race fan, and I think about sometimes when I get into some really terrible situations, this is going to sound really stupid, but I love the smell of gas. I mean, this is stupid. At the Indy 500, the fuel has this distinct smell. And so sometimes I will pick up the fuel tank and just be like, getting me some fuel. And it's the things we can do for ourselves emotionally and physically, reminding ourselves, look, excuse me, I'm going to rewrite the sign today. It's possible. But I mean, you're a living exact example of it.
And it's such a great point that you talk about. I mean, either rewrite the sign, or at times when it's written in front of us, when we say, this is who I am and this is what I stand for, this is where I'm going, and it's written. This is such a critical component, writing it down where you can see it on a regular basis, because we all need reminders, even me.
Yeah.
You know, I speak on all this stuff and I still have hard days. No bad days, but I have hard days. I have tough days. I have days where I get knocked down. And when I was recovering from all this, so it took 4 years and almost 40 surgeries to put me back together. And there were a lot of setbacks. There were infection problems. They had to, this was the third nose they built me. The first two totally failed. And there were days that I remember like crying my eyes out, like, it sucks. Like, this is miserable. And I would look at that sign and remind myself, like, that's who you are, bro. Like, get up, let's go. You got to set the example for your kids. You know, you're not accomplishing anything sitting here feeling sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'm on a mission for alcoholism. No, it's not funny. I mean, I laugh because that's my defense of like, who the hell put me in charge of alcoholism? Me, because I have watched my family suffer greatly. I was at the NFL football game on Sunday watching Patrick Mahomes be a rock star, and they have all of these chug cams now where they get people to chug beers, and it's destroyed so many people's lives. And it's like, it's the thing, right? It's just like, well, it's just cool. Go ahead and get drunk. And so, no, that's not cool. But we have to keep continually talking about what we're talking about here to say you can't ever follow the crowd, and you can't escape that nagging voice inside of you that says you're never going to do it, because you have to turn to that nagging voice and hold up your sign and say, excuse me, I was not talking to you. Right? Because it's that inner voice of us that's telling us, oh, well, Jason, remember, and you're like, excuse me, did you not read my sign? Because that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's belief in yourself. And I mean, when you talk about who am I to try and make a difference, I mean, it only takes one. Yeah. It only takes one. Like right now, I have lost too many friends to suicide. We're losing so many veterans and law enforcement and first responders to suicide. I mean, you know, COVID is a massive problem. But an even bigger problem, in my opinion, right now is the amount of individuals who are killing themselves on a regular basis. Our national heroes are individuals who are willing to step up. So I'm right there with you, Shelley. You're fighting against alcoholism. I'm fighting against suicide. I just recorded a new video that I'm going to be releasing about the lies that we tell ourselves that leads people down the road to take their lives. And they need... Once again, it comes back to the sign. It comes back, this is who I am. No matter how dark it is, this is who I am. Yeah. Someday I'll get out of this storm. And I don't know how, but I know I'm not going to sit here and just do nothing.
Yeah, and the storm, usually it's just one step or one degree turn, or, I mean, it's just, we have to decide and then I always say find the eagles in our lives, because, an eagle can soar alone. And in the Bible, Jesus refers to us on eagle's wings so many times. And so I did this whole study about eagles, and it's just such a beautiful metaphor, because when the storm's coming, the eagle actually flies into the storm because it makes him fly higher, which is exactly what your story is. You're like, oh, there's a storm brewing. I hit the storm and I'm going to fly higher. And then the view is amazing. Think about the view higher, right? And then you go back and you're like, hey, look, you can be an eagle. It's okay. I mean, we can do this, but what you're doing is amazing. And I am honored to meet you. Oh my God, if I lived in your area, I would be like, can we just have coffee and sit for 3 hours and talk about life? Because you have the book of life that you're writing, and it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. So I appreciate you taking time with us. Okay, leave my audience with one gift of today. They can write the sign. Give me a second.
So the what I'll tell you is I there's a lot of mottos I live by, but one thing that sticks with a lot of people, and I mean I created an entire brand around. I mean, this is my skull.
I'm ordering that shirt, by the way. Is it on Amazon?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Is your shirt on Amazon?
No, it's on my website. It's on jasonredman.com. And actually, anything you want to find out about me, you can go to jasonredman.com. We have our online store. You can get signed copies of my books. You can get our No Bad Days and Overcome merchandise. But the whole idea behind No Bad Days came from the skull. Like, actually, this is one of our coffee cups. And this skull was actually taken this picture of how the skull was drawn was done by a friend of mine, an artist, but it was taken straight from the CT scan that they put together to figure out how to put me back together. And when I look at that skull today, I have the acrylic model of the skull sitting on my desk in my office. And when I look at it so often, I think to myself how lucky I am to still be here. And this life is about perspective. I meet so many people that use that phrase, oh my God, I had a bad day. And 90% of the time, it's nothing. It's merely a schedule disruption. Yeah. It's like, you couldn't find your keys for 5 minutes. Yeah. I mean, really? Yeah. A true bad day, in my opinion, is something that will forever leave an impact on your life. The rest of it, it's just a schedule disruption. It's just a little micro mini ambush. It's that voice in your head telling you can't do it. And yet we allow these moments, these poor perspective moments where we say, oh, I had a bad day, to negatively impact everything about our lives for hours, for days, even for weeks at times. Yeah. And that's just poor perspective. So I live by the model that every day I wake up, man, it is a gift. Yeah. It is a good day. Yeah. It's up to me to make it a great day. It doesn't mean I'm not going to have hard days or tough days, but there's no bad days. Yeah. And that's what I live by. So guys, change your perspective. There's no bad days. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to be ordering a shirt, so you'll see me on there. I'm like, there's no bad day. I know you. This is not a bad day. Yeah.
Thanks for watching this week's episode, brought to you by My Smart Plans and Courage Coalition. For more information about our guest or other links, please see the description below. We'll see you next week on Rebuilding with Shelly Armato.